Hi, my name is Marian Rupp. I'm going to be talking to you today about whether or not the Arabian Horse Association should require genetic testing. Imagine for a moment a newborn foal. Beautiful, it's cute, it's adorable. Suddenly, about a month into its gorgeous life, it starts to get sick. You fight and battle and battle and battle as long as you can, but it just doesn't get better no matter how many antibiotics you pump into it. Eventually your vet calls you and tells you, "I'm sorry, but your foal is affected by severe combined immunodeficiency. There's no way that this foal will survive. It has to be put down now." This is a situation that happens all too often, but can easily be prevented. It can be prevented because there is a test for many genetic diseases. Genetic diseases like severe combined immunodeficiency and lavender foal syndrome. Both diseases affect the Arabian horse breed in particular. These genetic tests, all you have to do is take a hair sample or a blood sample, mail it in to the testing facility, and they take the DNA, and from that sample they take the DNA and amplify it and figure out, they cut it up into little pieces that tell you, whether or not your horse is either clear of the disease, a carrier of the disease, or affected by the disease. Carriers will be able to pass it on to their offspring, but they won't actually show any symptoms themselves. Affected horses have 2 carrier genes from both of their parents, one from each, and they show symptoms of the disease. In severe combined immunodeficiency, foals are unable to mount any kind of immune response, so they don't survive past the 5th month without even with veterinary intervention. In lavender foal syndrome, foals are born with seizures and an inability to process any kind of any kind of food, because their metabolism or their intestines are basically non-functional. So, what other breeds have done, including the Quarter Horse Association, is to require all horses to be tested for a particular disease. In quarter horses, it's HYPP, and they've required this for a number of years, and in order to get your horse registered, you have to send in the sample to see what status your horse is, whether it's affected carrier or not affected. At the moment, the Arabian Horse Association doesn't require testing. And this is a big problem, because severe combined immunodeficiency and lavender foal syndrome are both lethal diseases. There's no way to cure them, no way to treat them. Your horse will die if it's affected. Period. End of story. With HYPP in the quarter horse industry, affected horses can, survive for many years. It's a much less severe disease. So why does the Arabian horse industry not require you to test for a lethal disease, whereas the Quarter Horse Association require you to test for a non-lethal disease? Part of it has to do with carrier rates. The carrier rate, the number of horses that carry the lethal genetic diseases in Arabian horses, is still relatively small, in the 20 to 30% range. So the majority of your population is not a carrier, and even less are affected. In the quarter horse industry, there were populations where almost 90% of the breed in that area was affected. So it was a very big problem. But even though these carrier rates are still fairly small, they don't seem to be diminishing the way that they should be, because people aren't testing for them. Instead, the Arabian horse industry should require testing for genetic diseases like severe combined immunodeficiency and lavender foal syndrome before any horse is allowed to be registered. Or they should at least require breeding stock to be tested. If all horses are tested, then you'll know right away whether your horse is a carrier, whether it's affected, whether it's a non-carrier, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to think about, you don't have to make sure that you get it tested before you breed it. It's on its registration papers right there. It's a carrier. I can't breed to another carrier. This also reduces the number of lies that people say, or a lot of times people just won't say that whether their horse is affected or not because they don't have to. So why should they get it tested if they don't have to? Well, even if all horses were tested, you can still breed carrier horses. You just have to make an informed decision and only breed carrier horses to non-carrier horses. That's another argument that I make, that you could just breed or test breeding stock. However, breeding stock, just testing breeding stock requires a lot more infrastructure. It's not as efficient. Instead, all horses should be tested so that you know their carrier status right away and throughout their life. It goes with their papers, and if all horses are tested, we will get a more accurate sampling of where the disease is, how many horses are actually affected, how many are carriers. So first off, Marian Horse Association members need to talk to their representatives and get the board to vote on it, and then they need to follow through and actually do the genetic testing. Any questions?